heal the pain. Love is all the fire, forgiveness the key. Open the door, set the spirit free. No more silence, no more fight. We build again and we set it right. Bloodline strong, roots run deep, even when the soul did weep. Now we chant, now we sing. Family circle, unite again. Hold the hand, embrace the face, plant the seed in sacred space. Love is the river, forgiveness the rain. Together we rise, together we gain. Dub echo call, unity sound, families rebuilt on solid ground. One heart, one voice, one destiny. Love and forgiveness set we free. God bless Jamaica, land we love. Thank you.
Thank you. Let us stand, please. Is that Mayor Leon Thomas? Welcome, Your Worship. Give him a hand, please. God bless you. Dr. the Most Honorable Andrew Michael Holness, Prime Minister of Jamaica, he comes to bring greetings to us in this, the 20th gathering of the Ela family, Ela nation, the 6th gathering of the National Day of Prayer. PM, you almost frightened me, you know. After it's through, Minister Jabez will give us his ministry. Welcome, sir.
The Honorable Iselin Goling, Custos Rotolorum, for the parish of St. Catherine, representing His Excellency the Governor General. My friend, Mr. Fitz Jackson, we were reminiscing when we were younger politicians coming into Parliament. He has 33 years or 32 years in Parliament. I have 28. And he says he intends to. I have your permission to say what you said, Fitz? Or keep it between us. Just to paraphrase, that he intends to stay very long. And I said I will see him off. You know, there's been much said about the government's partnership with faith-based institutions. Much of it not based on what was actually said, but there is a general context about the effectiveness and support of the church during periods of crisis. You all know that I don't share the view that the church in Jamaica is not present or effective. That is far from the truth. Far from the truth. I will share this with you. In my own constituency, there is a small upcoming church. And I noticed that most of my workers, and Fitz will know, and the mayor of Portmore, and all the politicians who are here, which I will name them individually in a few seconds, will know what we mean when we say our workers, our political workers. And I noticed that more than 50% of my workers in one division were members of this church. When I attended, I was invited, and I began to reflect on this. You know, why is it that they are joining the church? Well, some of them were getting older. And they start to reflect on life. they start to search for meaning in life, and that's where they find it. They start to search for fellowship. Some start to search for companionship, friendship. Some went very wayward in their life, and they found that the church was a good anchor to return them to a center and balance and give them purpose. Some needed help. Economic, physical, the number of shut-ins and infirm that the church supports. The state couldn't take care of all of these persons. Make no mistake, there are many families and many individuals who are facing personal crises in their lives. And the only place that they can turn to for guidance, support, counseling is the church. So make no mistake about the importance of the church in our society. And so we make it a point of duty, and we are not ashamed or abashed in saying that we are very open and very proactive in partnering with the church to provide services and to deliver critical outreach, because the government, the state, just simply cannot do it alone. And we make no excuses in saying, this is a Christian nation. Make no mistake about that. So we are always prepared to support and partner with the church. And I want to establish that. So in the disaster of Hurricane Melissa, the churches were badly hit. I've seen some of our historic churches totally destroyed. Many churches are without roof. Many of them are flooded. And it is important that we assist the church when we can, if we can, and if they so desire. I don't think it blurs or crosses the line between church and state. I don't think it compromises governance or deprives any other faith or religion of access. No. So I think the government's action is justified. The truth is that the members of the church are taxpayers too. That's just the reality. And in the past, not just my administration, other administrations have found it necessary and useful to support the church. In other disasters, a special window was opened with the NHT to assist churches to rebuild through loans. And we are opening that window as well, so churches can take advantage of that support as well. But in the present offer of the government, it is that some churches that have been destroyed and they need support in cleaning up and restarting their operations. We have tasked the Social Development Commission to work with the church to conduct the assessment, and we will give some support in that regard. I honestly didn't believe this would become a contentious issue, but it is the world that we live in, and I just thought that I would clarify and make it very clear where my position is and where the position of the government is. Which is why today I take great pleasure in noting the presence of the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Senator the Honorable Kamina Johnson-Smith, the portfolio she holds, you will know, is a very serious portfolio, one that deals with very sensitive issues. I mean, all portfolios are serious and have sensitive issues, granted, but I'm speaking in coded terms. Those who know. And so I'm certain she's here to get a special prayer. And not to venture too far off the purpose of my presentation, but simply to say that every day I pray for the nation. We are living in changing times, uncertain times, uncharted waters in many instances. And my job as the steward of your affairs and the servant of your wishes is to keep Jamaica safe. Not to steer into waters for which we don't have to go. Not to invite problems on ourselves when we have our own problems to deal with. This is not us recoiling from our principles and duties. Jamaica has always been consistent, and we have always been the strong voice of reason for small developing countries globally, and continue to be. Many of the issues that are presently being discussed, if persons who comment on these issues would only do a very cursory research into the matter, they would see the positions that Jamaica has taken and continue to take. So what is happening, Jamaica has already taken its position long before others would have sought to enunciate any current positions. So we give God thanks for keeping Jamaica safe in turbulent geopolitical and geoeconomic times. We have navigated those waters very carefully, very skillfully, and we will bring the ship of the Jamaican state to the destination of prosperity for which God has ordained. We have with us as well the Minister of Education, one of those other very weighty portfolios, Minister Dana Morris-Dixon. I'm pleased to report that the schools, most schools, are up and running in the affected areas. They may not be in the optimum that we would like, but we are using various modalities and the children are back in school. And the intention is to restore the schools to full normalcy in the shortest possible time. We also have the Honorable Colonel Charles. Junior is on his name, but now he's just Colonel Charles. Our Minister of Labor and Social Security. He has a very difficult job in ensuring that the persons who have been affected by Hurricane Melissa, that they get some support. Now, we have been giving support, giving relief. We are now firmly in the recovery section of our disaster response. And we discussed recently what our grants for reconstruction will be. We are going to finalize that before the week is out and then start the distribution of those grants, particularly in the areas affected, started with those persons who have been most affected. As I have moved through the country, the devastation is clear. But I want to commend those persons who, from their own resources and their own initiative, have started to rebuild their roofs. Whether it is to put up the tarpaulin, or they have found second zincs and their sheets of zinc and they're putting them on, or they're just doing what they can to restore their dwellings. I encourage you to do what you can. But we know that there are many Jamaicans who simply cannot find the first cent. And we have had to balance between making sure that we identify those who can't find the first cent so that they are the ones who get it, with getting it to them quickly. Because you know they have this thing in Jamaica. Sometimes, you know, you have to be careful that it's not the greedy that get it. You have to make sure it's the needy. So we are involved in this process of assessment to make sure it is the needy and not the greedy that gets it. And that creates a little extension of the time that it takes to give the delivery, because in Hurricane Beryl, we were looking at 20,000 persons at most affected. And within 3 weeks after the hurricane, we were able to deliver a benefit. Now, you're looking at the broad estimate is that the impact would be about 150,000 persons, of which we estimate that between 90 to 120,000 would need benefit. So you see how significant it is, and we have to go through and assess each case individually. The cost of that is going to be huge, and therefore we must make sure that every dollar of it is properly spent and properly accounted for. I have also here Minister Matthew Samuda, Minister of Water and the Environment. Minister Samuda, please stand. And his task is to ensure that we recover the water sector very quickly. You may see that we have started to recover electricity and restore electricity right throughout the country. We have teams out there, and by the end of this month, 90% or more of the areas that have been affected will have electricity in their critical thoroughfares, critical town centers. And then after that, we will do the remote areas. I see Minister shouting to me there that for water, they will be at 95% by the end of the month. We have ministers of state with us, Alanda Terrelong, and Member of Parliament for one of the constituencies here in Portmore. Minister Delroy Williams is here as well. Former Mayor of Kingston and St. Andrew. Minister Delano Seabright is here. Parliamentary Secretary Marlon Morgan is here. The President of the Senate is here, Honorable Tom Tavares Finson. And Senator Christian Tavares Finson is here as well. And former Member of Parliament Robert Big Rob Miller is here as well. And of course, believe it or not, he's my friend. Your mayor, Leon Thomas, is here. He knows that we're going to have a conversation about Portmore, the parish, but at another time. I don't know what all of these politicians heard while they are here. But they have all come like myself for the special prayers and blessings to start the year right. So allow me, therefore, to make special commendations to Bishop Dr. Delphore Davis and his lovely wife, Petrova, for organizing this event in partnership with the other churches and church groups. I've been doing this, the Heal the Family, Heal the Nation, and this for maybe more than about 10 years. Yes, in some form of it. Yeah, it's been, I've not missed one. Yeah. And I want to thank all the other apostles and bishops and pastors and clergy who are here on the platform. Thank you for all that you do and all that you contribute to building Jamaica. I also want to wish all of you God's richest blessings for the best of health, happiness, well-being, love, fulfillment, peace, wealth, we're not ashamed of that, productivity in 2026. Peace and love. Peace and love. So, we have been hit by a disaster. I must tell you, I did not expect that after Hurricane Beryl, the following year we would have Hurricane Melissa. But such is the nature of the times in which we live. We are going to be hit by external shocks, and they are going to be unexpected. They are going to be frequently occurring. They are going to be overlapping, meaning one starts and about to end, and then another one starts. And so you have two of them going on at the same time. And then they are going to be of greater intensity. So you get hit by a category 3 last year. Sorry, forgive me. In 2024 Hurricane Beryl, category 3. Then by the time that was finished, because that was in July. Remember now, for the entire month of November, go straight through the mid of December, we had rains. Almost every day destroyed the road. It wasn't Beryl that did most of the rain damage. It was that unexpected, unseasonal rain. And then by the time we come out of that, drought. And then out of drought, the hurricane come again. And what has happened in the last couple of days? Unseasonal rain. This is not the time that we normally get the rain. So you see what I'm saying about frequently occurring, greater intensity, and overlapping. That is just the nature of the world in which we live as it relates to weather. But I don't even want to talk about the geopolitical and geoeconomic things that are happening all over the world that creates the uncertainty. It is the nature of the world that we live in. And in these times, people find comfort in the Word of God. People find certainty in the Word of God. And there are those who would want to dismiss that and lean on their own understanding. I am not one such person. Right? I believe in prayer and I believe in the power of God. Now, I've stood at this platform and at the national arena at several occasions before, and I would have addressed the issue of peace in Jamaica. And in a particular marker of peace would be the number of murders that occur in our country per year. We would have seen our murders rise to as high as 1,600 in a year, more than that. Today, as a nation, I would say that your collective prayers for peace is being answered before your very eyes. Because there have been many times when I have stood here and lamented the high murder rate and preached to the gunmen to stop killing and asked God to touch their hearts. You remember? Today, I'm pleased to say that the last outturn that we have seen in terms of figures for 2025 was 673. The number will change a little bit, but 673 is what we closed the year with. So we are below 700. And this is for the first time in 31 years. It is a major achievement. It is not to be in any way diminished. Every Jamaican should have a sense of pride and achievement for this. There are times in a nation's history when there are turning points or tipping points or points of inflection. Turning point, that's when a change occurs. You change direction. A tipping point is where the pressure reaches so high that you have a rapid change in direction or in outcome. And an inflection point is when the rate of change becomes much faster than the effort to change. You start to get benefits now from your investment. And if you look at Jamaica, we have had some tipping points. We are now at a turning point in murders and homicides in Jamaica. We are turning now towards a more peaceful society. And this is not a one-off. In 2023, we had a 7% reduction. In 2024, we had a 19% reduction. And last year, we had a 42% reduction in murders. So you see a tipping point turning into a turning point, and a turning point turning into a point of inflection. So we're going to go rapidly now to go below, and I'm not going to set a target, but I'm going to set it in this way. We have always said we want to reach the regional average. The regional average is 15 murders per 100,000 of population. We're almost there. We're probably about 20, between 25 and 20 per 100,000. We're almost there. We can get there if everyone in this room, everybody in this room, owns it, keeps praying for it, but more than that, keeps working for it. Here's why. Jamaica's murder rate was high because many of the murders were organized, meaning that we had criminal enterprises, which we euphemistically call gangs, that use violence to conduct their activities, and oftentimes the ultimate violence, which is the taking of a life. You in the church can pray about it, but there is very little sometimes you can do about it. When you see them in your communities, you just have to hold down your head and hope they don't see you and walk past them. When you see the wayward ones in your neighborhood, they gather in the corner and they make up noise all night, they threaten you, they threaten your children, and you can't say nothing about it. Except you go on your knees and you pray for them. Well, the state has addressed those, and we will continue to address the organized elements of crime in the society, dealing with gangs. More than 70% of our murders were gang-related. But as you address that element of it, there are some other murders which will feature. Persons who have intimate partner violence issues, man and woman business. That is definitely something that all of us in here and the church can address. Quarrel over family dead left. Domestic issues, domestic violence. We have seen two neighbors arguing over who left something at whose gate. And one just get vexed, pulling gun, and that was the end of that. Youth deviance. These are things now, the social violence, that we're going to need the help of the church now, not just in prayers, but in action. Because we must know as a society, from the pulpit, preach the rejection of violence as a means of resolving conflict. The church and other entities must now be able to see very quickly when a situation could escalate to violence and intervene very quickly through counseling, through guidance, but also by diversion, because there are many youngsters in communities that they could very well be in the church choir as they could be in a gang. And it is only because the gang reach out to them and not the church choir why they are in the gang and not the church choir. So we are going to now need the army of the church to pull in those youngsters and divert them away from the gangs and the criminal activities. You see what I'm saying? You understand what I'm saying? Because that is how we're going to bring it down even lower now. But that is how we're going to truly attain peace in the country. Peace doesn't mean the absence of conflict, you know. What it means is that we are able to resolve conflict without violence. So the government can't rely on the police force and the army and law enforcement exclusively to achieve peace. They are an important part of achieving peace, but they are not the only focus for the government. I've also, from this platform, appealed to the gunmen and the criminals to spare the lives of the innocent people, the victims. And I've oftentimes said that sometimes the conversation and the narrative focuses more on the criminals rather than on the victims. Today, I appeal to the criminals and the gunmen and those who are involved in criminal activities and those who have guns to save yourselves. Save yourselves. Turn away from violence. Put away the gun. In fact, turn it in. Save yourself. And I ask the church to pray for them so that their hearts will be touched, so they will turn away from criminal activity. Pray for them. It must be said that every life in Jamaica is valuable. Every life is valuable. And it pains my heart to see our young men, because 95% of those who are doing the killings and those who are killed are young men. Pains my heart to see our young men being killed. So I pray for them to stop killing, and I pray for them to save themselves. That's just the reality. Which leads me now to say that there is no question that the Jamaican family needs attention. As an institution, as a social structure, we need to pay some attention. From an administrative perspective, from a policy perspective, we have focused on some elements. We have focused on social welfare, making sure that the children and those who are vulnerable within households and families can get access to education and certain support. We are focused on housing to ensure that vulnerable families and poor families can get access to housing. We are focused on the provision of various services and utilities, particularly in health, and the provision of water to make sure that everybody has access to those things. But what is now needed is a more coordinated and concentrated policy that is instrumental and directly targeted at promoting and supporting the family in Jamaica. And that's the next step for this administration. You're going to see developed far more targeted policies towards the family. And we have started this by developing, first of all, within the Ministry of National Security, the whole subject of peace. It's a more community-oriented strategy, but that community-oriented strategy must have as its anchor the family. So we're not only going to seek to target the youngsters in community, we're going to target the ecosystem around that youngster, meaning his family or her family. In education, the same thing. We must get parents far more involved in the education of their children. And the education is not just for the children, it is also education for the parents. I don't want to get into the social issues around what is the accepted type of family, because I know those are thorny issues. But I will say this here, that it is always good to have both parents, and it is always good to have a father in the home. And as I close my presentation to you, having the family as a strong unit is good in and of itself, no question. But having a strong family also gives you a strong economy. Yes. One of the challenges we are facing today is the lack of labor. There's a shortage of labor. I'm not yet seeing what the new labor statistics will say. Obviously, my own view is that there will be an impact on unemployment. Unemployment will rise as a result of the hurricane. But before that, we were experiencing the lowest levels of unemployment in Jamaica at about 4.3%. That's the lowest that's ever been in the history of Jamaica. Practically full employment. But I've never been convinced that there is still not potential within the population and within the society to pull more persons into the labor force. And one of the complaints that we have been having is that, and we get it all the time, we just can't find good people to work. We just can't find productive, trained, skilled, competent, reliable people to work. It is a constant theme across all sectors of the economy. And one of the things we are picking up is that it's not that there isn't the bodies to work. The challenge is that they just don't have the attitude for work. And a part of that is just how they have grown up in their household. All of you here, you get up every morning, you take the bus, you do your hustle, you go to work, you follow that routine, you are consistent, you do your job. But that comes because of how you were parented, how you were taught about sacrifice, how you were taught about working for what you have, the values that were transmitted to you. I'm not convinced that that same value transmission is occurring at the level that is needed to support the economic growth that this country has a potential to achieve. So I do talk about the economics and the growth, but these things are also connected to the society and the value system. And an important part of bringing the value system to the economic system is not just the education system, it is also the church. It is also what you believe in your religion, what your religion teaches about work, about producing more, about being good stewards, about how you deal with authority. All of these are fundamental Christian principles that need to be reinforced if our economy is to achieve the full potential that it has. So brothers and sisters, you have been a wonderful audience. You have listened to me carefully for all that I have said. And I hope that it has had some meaning and some impact in your outlook and your perspective. God bless you. Love you.
Well, thank you, Prime Minister. You have really spoken from your heart to our hearts. And indeed, the messages conveyed have been well received. Amen. All right. It's good to know that the honorable ministers and senators will remain for the remainder of the service. Give them a